Many people have fun facts about their ancestors. Their great-uncle was a mob boss. They're a distant cousin of Abraham Lincoln, you name it. But not many people have a family whose origins are steeped in controversy like mine. A question that I've been asked my whole life is, what are you? Well, my great-great-grandmother, Martha Freeman, which that's her gravestone, was a full-blooded Lumbee Indian. The Lumbee are a tribe in North Carolina who are actually not recognized by the federal government. This is for a plethora of reasons, but the main one is that it's been really difficult for us to prove our origin. Some tribes say that because of this, we're not native enough, but there are a lot of theories about where we come from. The main one that I have grown up with is that our origins are intertwined with another one of America's intriguing mysteries, the lost colony of Roanoke. Today, I'm going to explain to you the history, mystery, and theories about what happened to the long-lost colony of Roanoke. But first, let me tell you about it. In 1587, Sir Walter Raleigh sent 118 British colonists to America to join a colony on the Chesapeake Bay that's now known as Jamestown. According to Nancy Roberts' book, Ghosts on the Coast, the captain of the ship was a pirate named Simon Fernandez. He and the governor of the colony, John White, got in a lot of arguments on the trip. So he ended up dropping the settlers off on Roanoke Island, hundreds of miles south of the Jamestown colony. As David Quinn in his book, Lost Colonists, Fortune and Probable Fate writes, the disruption of the plans was a minor disaster. They were stranded in early August, so it was difficult for them to harvest and plant crops. Also, they had supplies, but they were meant to last them until they got to Chesapeake Bay, not last them through the winter. Because of this, John White returned to England in late August. But on his way there, he encountered several pirate attacks, thunderstorms, and different accidents. He ended up landing in Ireland and didn't get to England until late November. After this, there were funding problems with Raleigh's company, and a war with Spain and Britain caused the seas to be a little unsafe. Because of this, he was unable to return to Roanoke until 1590, 3 years after he left. What Governor White found when he returned is a mystery that has plagued historians for centuries. When he returned, he found the colony abandoned. The settlers had promised him that if they left, they would carve their location on a tree. They looked and they found Croatoan carved in trees, fence posts, door frames. Croatoan is the name of an island on which a friendly Indian tribe lived, so they weren't really alarmed. They also didn't carve any distress signals, so that also comforted them. They decided that they would go to Croatoan in the morning, but another storm hit and they had to return to England because their ships were damaged. After this, Sir Walter Raleigh's company faced more financial troubles, and they weren't able to return to America until the early 1600s. By this point, any substantial evidence was gone, and the settlers seemed to live through rumors. So what happened to the colonists? Ooh. According to Karen Kupperman in her book Roanoke, The Abandoned Colony, John Smith wrote that Chief Powhatan said that he had massacred the colonists. But there were rumors that there were settlers living on the James River near Powhatan, so this probably was more to scare Smith and his men. Another theory is that they moved 50 miles inland, but then they were wiped out by drought the following year. The theory that I grew up with is that they did in fact move to Croatoan Island, intermarried with the natives there, and created the Lumbee tribe. This is corroborated by explorer John Lawson's trip to Croatoan Island in 1701, on which he met a tribe of natives that claimed that they were descended from white people. According to Cindy Paget's article, The Lost Indians of the Lost Colony, John Lawson wrote that the Indians had gray eyes, being found frequently amongst these Indians and no others. His companion, John Lederer, said that there was also a nation of great bearded men, which you don't really find that on full-blooded Native Americans. So if our tribe comes from these Indians, it's been hard to prove, but you see where our controversy comes into play. The mystery is intriguing. There are many plot twists if the captain had been trustworthy, if storms hadn't hit, if Britain hadn't gone to war with Spain, maybe it would have turned out differently. But all these factors came together neatly to provide a mystery that is both intriguing and a true mystery story. The Lumbee connection is debated both by historians and tribal members. There's a project called the Lost Colony DNA Project, which looks into family records and does DNA testing to try to prove the Lumbee connection. As archaeologists uncover more data and DNA testing improves, it will be very interesting to see whether the mystery will ever be solved. I intend to follow it, and if you're interested, I encourage you to follow it as well. Thank you.
Businessman and a business major alike. So I love numbers, and according to statisticsbrain.com, Michael Jordan played over 41,000 minutes in his career, all of which came down to his last shot with just 6.6 seconds left. Michael sunk the shot, and the Bulls won their 6th NBA championship. It's memories like this that stay in people's minds all across the world. Now, Michael Jordan doesn't play any longer, but he still releases shoes that encaptures all of these memories. I myself own over 400 pairs of these sneakers, one of which is this Jordan Last Shot 14, of which he is wearing in this picture, which makes it so important to me. But it was actually very hard to obtain this shoe because for years it was going for over $300+ online, and that is because they never were going to come out again, so we thought. But what Jordan did is they retroed the shoe, which makes it, well, retro, let me explain it, is when a shoe comes back out again after it had previously been released. So that made it easier for a lot of people to obtain it. And that's what makes Jordan Brand so successful. They have a product with such nostalgia behind it that people want it. They put it at a price that people will pay for it. It's very competitive. And then they have a hype and demand behind the logo, which is the Jordan symbol. With all the nostalgia behind him, Michael Jordan has inspired many players to play the game of basketball all across the world. One of which is my good friend Russ Smith that plays basketball for the University of Louisville. Not only does he love basketball, but he loves Air Jordans. He did a little testimonial for me, and he's been very busy with the tournament, Go Cards. So let's see what he has to say about Air Jordans.
How y'all doing? My name is Russ Smith. I go to the University of Louisville. I'm here to share with y'all that I'm a big fan of Michael Jordan and a big fan of his shoes, and I keep my own collection. Michael Jordan's the best, so it's kind of gotta have a pair.
And Russ is right. You kind of do have to have a pair of his shoes, and I back that 100%. And the nostalgia has actually went farther than just the basketball court. It has stretched all the way to the movie screen. As you can see here, Michael Jordan played in the movie Space Jam, where him and the Looney Tunes faced the evil aliens. Michael Jordan was actually wearing this shoe, which is my all-time favorite in the movie, the Jordan Space Jam 11. This one is actually from the year 2000. And as we spoke earlier, shoes come back out for cheaper prices. As we see here, the same shoe I have was released in 2000 for a price point of over $450 in aftermarket sales. So in 2009, they re-released the shoe, and you could get them for around $175, which, if you ask me, is a much better option. But there's only one problem. They didn't have enough. And a question you may find yourself asking is, if Jordan retros all his shoes, what will he have left to sell? And will he stop making money? And the big question is, no. And that is because the demand for these shoes is crazy. There are so many people trying to get them, it makes it impossible to actually get the shoe in some circumstances. As you can see here, SoulCollector.com, which is basically a sneaker release site that releases info and release dates on the shoes, was asked a question by I guess a fan, and they asked an administrator, how hard is it going to be to get a certain pair of shoes, in this case the Jordan 11s. And basically they responded by saying it's every man, woman, and child for themselves. It is going to be cutthroat, trust no one. And I'm sure that speaks for itself. Okay. And here's an example to show that. ABCnews.com has a picture, and in this picture they show people lining up for blocks to get the sneakers. For whatever reason it may be. It may be because of the nostalgia. It may be because of that great price. Or maybe the people just want to look good for the ladies at school and they want that Jordan symbol on the back of their shoes. Who knows? Speaking of school, Jordan actually had to change the release dates of their shoes from Friday to Saturday because kids were skipping school to go get them. And that actually raised the shoe sales a lot because the demand was higher because more people were able to go get them, and then there was less supply because they were diminishing. This caused sales to skyrocket. In fact, Jordan sales went up over 89% in 2012. And as you can see, Jordan Brand was smiling. And as we said, this wasn't because of luck. This was because Jordan Brand has a product that is backed by a great nostalgia that no one can top. People are willing to pay these retail prices because aftermarket prices are nearly insane. Not to mention, Jordan has its own hype and fashion trends in today's fashion world, and everyone can recognize the Jordan symbol. So I'd like to leave you with a few words. Jordan may have taken his last shot and his career may be over, but Jordan is a go-getter and he wants to be very successful. He has many memories that can be encaptured in all of his shoes, and there are more to come. And he is a successful man, and I hope you all buy some of his sneakers. Thank you.